Is your why a lie? And I want to challenge you with that question because, again, throughout our life, we've been asked that simple question. As we're a kid, we're asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And as an adult, we start getting, what is your why? It's a popular phrase. Or why do you do what you do? But the question becomes, do we really know? Because we're surface creatures. For me, I have a wife and 3 daughters. So it's one of those questions where I say, oh, family. But of course, it's logical. But the question becomes, is that a truth or a lie? And we have to think about that. So let's challenge a little bit and dive into the word why. Because why takes on many forms. Again, adverb, conjunction, several different ways we can go with that. But more importantly, it's the progression of life that we take with that. Because why, as a child, is the purest form of curiosity. Why is the sky blue? Why is water wet? Why is purple purple? Why? Am I annoying you yet? But the funny thing is as we start pushing on that a little bit, you ask too many questions. You're too nosy. And we're taking away that curiosity. So as we progress in our life and we get older, why takes on a new meaning? Why is this happening to me? Why me? Why do they have more than I do? Why are they better than I am? It's interesting when you think about it. But what's even more interesting if we start challenging it. And I want to challenge it using one of my favorite things that's in this pocket, actually, is this magical little creature right here. Probably the greatest utility to ever hit the palm of our hands because we can use it at any time. Right now, I could mess with my family in Arizona and turn off the AC. I'm sure they would appreciate that. Right? At the same point in time, I can work. I can interact with my universe on social media. But then I can argue the flip side. It's probably the greatest addiction. Because why? I can't live without it. So humor me. Close your eyes for a second. And don't fall asleep on me. But I want you to think about that last time that you didn't have service on your phone. You misplaced your phone, or you even lost it. Think of that moment. How did you feel? Did you feel anxiety? More importantly, did you have a little FOMO? A little fear of missing out? Now, I got your eyes closed still. I want you to think about the last time you had that fear of missing out with your spouse, that fear of missing out with your child, and more importantly, that fear of missing out with your life. Now open your eyes. Do I have your attention? Great. So let's unpack that. Because again, nothing comes easy. We have to put work into it. So I'm going to give you 4 words that will change the way you look at your why. And quite simply, I'll start with the bigger word is cast. And what it represents, first, is curious. We have to be more than the surface. Again, I said my why was my family. But if I was curious, I would realize that I was traveling 5 to 6 days a week on an airplane. And if you ask my family, I'm pretty sure they would say the opposite to that. So we got to dig deeper. What is it about me? What am I trying to solve? I have to be curious. At the same point in time, I have to be curious with others because they want that interaction. They just don't know it. Because the reason we retaliate against curiosity is because we're uncertain that we have the right answer to respond back to. That is our fear with curiosity. Instead of embracing it and saying, it's okay not to know, let's keep digging deeper. Why don't I know? We have to take the time because being curious is everything. It's what makes us want to do more. You've heard that several times in your life. Be curious, be curious. There's a reason. Because it takes you past the surface. Next, action. You know, a goal without action will forever be just a dream. It will. You have to take action. You can listen to every motivational speaker, read every self-help book, but if you don't put one foot in front of the other, guess what? Nothing happens. Because you have to take action. And you have to be intentional. Because again, you only have so much time. You can only do so much, if we're being honest. If you say, I'm a multitasker, you're pretty much master of nothing. You're just the jack of all. Okay? In order to be the master, you have to have focus. You have to go dead on into action and have intentionality. But here's the kicker. You also have to be honest, because if you're intentional, there's just the fact that sometimes you just have to say no. And that's the hardest thing that we face. But where the rubber meets the road, and I'll spend most of my time, is right here in this magical bucket, self-awareness. This is the core. Because with self-awareness, we all know what the word means, but do we really understand it for ourselves? The measurement test to that is quite simply this. When you get up in the morning and you brush your teeth, right? Practice that beautiful hygiene. If the reflection that you see causes you pain, you laugh. But it does sometimes. Then you have to dig deeper. You're not aware, because if you're fully self-aware, you understand how to have those conversations with yourself, right? If I'm fully self-aware, I'll understand when I'm talking to my wife, and I'm like, hey, honey, how's it going? Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. I just told you you don't matter, because this took priority, because I'm not aware. But if I'm self-aware, I understand I've got to park that. And in that moment, my wife is the most important thing, or my children. And it takes discipline, it takes self-awareness to recognize behaviors. And listen, we all have relapse. This thing, I relapse all the time. I say that in the household all the time. Having a relapse, it's taking priority again, right? But we have to be honest. And it starts with self-awareness. The other piece with self-awareness is that we have to understand sometimes we face a little denial. So if you've ever been in a situation, and you might be on either side of this, but you're out to dinner with your friends, and they're so excited to tell you they bought a new house. And your response is, must be nice. Why? Is it because they bought a new house and you didn't? Are you unhappy where you are in life? Because anytime that response of, it must be nice, is an instant trigger that we've got to dig deeper into ourselves and realize something's not working for us. And that's okay. Because if we're honest and we work through that, that's where the happiness comes in. And happiness is not a mythical creature. Okay? Happiness is the truth, because again, the mythical creature is the byproduct. So if your why is something like, hey, it's wealth, it's success, maybe it's fame, that's a byproduct. That's not a why. That's by you tapping into yourself and fulfilling your happiness to expand to others, then amasses those things as a byproduct. It's not a primary focus, and it shouldn't be. The other piece with self-awareness that I think has been interesting is just the brutal honesty that you have to have with yourself. Each day I wake up, again, I do the mirror check, but it's that conversation. Am I at where I'm at today? Am I better than I was yesterday? Yes or no? Simple question, yes or no? And it moves, I think, well, if the answer is no, then I have to walk through myself. What did I do wrong? What was the miss that day? What did I learn that day? Because again, it's all based on, we battle with this internal fear of failure. And sometimes we just think that, oh my gosh, the world has passed us by, we've missed our opportunity, I just can't do good enough. No, you're just stuck. You're stuck because you haven't walked through the path. You haven't unlocked your self-awareness. Because you have the ability to change your outcome. Sometimes we just like to blame other things for the reason we haven't, instead of looking at ourselves. Because that's hardest thing is to be honest with yourself. So as you walk through that, the other piece that kind of comes along with self-awareness It's just understanding what's important and what's not. We've all had battles with that. You have a lot on your plate. If you got a family, you got work, there's certain things that just, sometimes you just got to say, it's not a priority right now. Because if you make everything a priority, then nothing's going to get done, and then guess what happens? Failure comes in. And now you feel that you failed. Now your goals go by the wayside. That's very difficult sometimes to overcome because you're pushing yourself out past the point of control. But being able to come back to it by being curious, by taking your action, and punching into that self-awareness, that's where you find you. Ticket. Let's spend a minute on this one because ticket is quite simply this. You have one ticket on this ride called life. At the end of it, when you get off the ride, you're either going to have regret or you're going to be fulfilled. The question becomes, what are you doing on your ride right now? And listen, last couple of years, we'll be honest, it's been a fun ride, right? It pushed us out past our comfort zones. We met failure at probably the highest speed we've ever had. But if you embraced it and you figured out how to find the light in the dark, that ticket becomes that much better. The ride becomes that much better. Because at the end of the day, it's not the finish line, it's the journey. We get so hung up on getting to the finish line, we forget to enjoy the whole ride. You got to take it in. So, for me, the why in the beginning was a lie. Because, see, I thought family, pretty self-explanatory. But I wasn't present. I was lying because I was chasing the byproducts, the success, right? The money. I was chasing all the wrong things, and I didn't realize that why I said family, because I thought I was doing it for them. In reality, I was really doing it for me, because I had to be honest with that. Now, my why's a lot different. My why comes down to this. My why really is my family. My goal is to give them as many memories as I can, because if I'm enjoying my one ticket on the ride, nothing comes with me in the end except for the time that I get with the people I love. Let's say that again. When the time is up, all that's left for me or for you is the time and the memories you created with the people closest to you. That's really what it comes down to. Second part of the why. We continue as humans to put limits on everything. My other why is to figure out and push past those limits. What more am I capable of? Not from a point of like, oh, how much money can I generate? No. What am I capable of? I have the day-to-day, right? The things called work. But it's what else can I do? Where else can I make an impact? What can I take from all my trials and tribulations? Because the greatest lessons are our greatest failures. Let's be honest. You don't talk about your wins as much as you talk about your losses, and losses are way more fun sometimes. Because you learn so much. About where I'm at today, because, man, I've failed way more than I've lost. Or way more than I won, sorry. So I would say this. Kind of bring it full circle. I encourage everybody in this room to cast yourself out in the world and take the lie out of your why. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.